everyone, welcome to our second lesson in graphic design. And in this lesson, we're going to do a bit of practicals, a bit of understanding of the elements and principles of design. Now, principles of design has got a few things that you as an individual or as a professional need to take account or consider as you begin to do your designs. Now, the form that the basis of visual art and design is in what? In its principles, okay? So these principles provide a framework for creating, analyzing, the artwork, whether in graphic design, painting, sculpture, or any other visual media. Okay. Now, in anything to do with art, there is an issue of principles. There are certain principles that you need to follow for you to be successful at what you are doing. And some of these elements include one, line. Okay, line. Now, a line by definition is a continuous mark with a length and direction. Okay, so a line is a continuous mark with a length and direction. So let's look at a line. Let's try to draw a line. Okay, let's try to draw a line. This is an empty space that I have. Okay, just to show you how a line looks like. Now, this is a line. Okay, this is a line, and this line has got, this line moves from point A to point B. So a line, by definition, we've already indicated that a line is a continuous mark with a length and direction. So it has got a direction. Okay, so with a line, there are types of lines. Okay, they are what we call a vertical, horizontal, diagonal, curve, and more. Okay, so when this line, the way it is, this line is an horizontal line. This is a horizontal line, and we can also have what we call a vertical line. So this one that I'm drawing there is called a vertical line. Okay, a vertical line starts from top to down to bottom. Okay, then a horizontal line has got a, it moves from left to right. So this line is a horizontal line. A horizontal line, it starts from top to bottom. Now, this same line, if we do it like, if we make an angle, okay, so this vertical line, if we make an angle, that angle that it makes, it's in form of a diagonal. Okay, then this is a diagonal, and when we talk about a diagonal, this also can be similar to what we call a curve. Okay, a curve. So a curve, normally it shapes in a type of in type of an angle. For example, let's say this shape. Okay, so if this shape, if this is the shape, if we get only half of it, it becomes a, it becomes a curve and more. So lines, function of line is that, it defines shape. It brings out the shape. It helps in making contours and outlines. So it also helps in creating a sense of movement and direction. So lines and curves are used in creating movement and shape and direction. So let's look at the shape itself. What is a shape? Okay, so a shape is a two-dimensional enclosed area. Two-dimensional enclosed area, that's a definition of a shape. And a shape is in types. All right, there's what we call a circle, square. So for example, let's delete this. So we can have a circle. I mean, we can have this type of a shape. Then we can also have this type of a shape. Okay, Then we can also have this type of a shape. All these are shapes, okay. Then we can have this type of a shape, okay. We can have this type of a shape. Now, as you can see, this is bringing out a certain artwork, okay. It's, as I'm drawing this, it's bringing out a certain artwork. So this is a shape. Now, this shape, as you can see, these are shapes. These shapes, they can be used to do many things. Okay, they can be used to do many type of manipulations. All right. So all these are shapes. Now, these shapes are grouped in what we call, the geometric and the organic. So geometric shapes, these are, circles, squares, rectangle, triangle, and whatnot, okay, and so on and so forth. Then we've got what we call organic shapes. So these shapes are irregular, all right? They're irregular natural shapes, okay? So geometric shapes, these are circles, squares, these shapes that you know, that you've been taught. Then there are what we call organic shapes. These are irregular natural shapes and more. The shape that you can easily draw a star, a star and other shapes, okay. So those are called the under organic shapes. Now, what are the functions of these shapes? Now, shapes helps it helps in providing structure, okay. It helps in providing one structure, form, and also can convey symbolic meaning, okay. We've seen a pyramid. People are saying, no, pyramid represents this. We've seen a cross, okay, two lines that are put together. So, they mean something. So shapes, they are very important in creating a symbolic meaning. Then we've got what we call form. What is form? A form, this is a three-dimensional shape with the volume and the depth. So this the form, we are saying that a form is a three-dimensional shape with volume and depth. So here it is a shape. We are saying that a form, we can say a shape that has got what? A shape that has got 3D dimensions, okay, or dimensions. So those dimensions, they form their volume and depth. So a form is an important thing. One of the examples of a form, we've got a cube, okay, a cube, sphere, a cylinder, okay. So I think some of you may have learned how a cylinder looks like. So let's do a simple, for example, simple illustration of a cylinder. Hope we'll manage, or something that looks like that. So we'll play around with shapes, right? We'll play around with shapes. So this is a shape, okay. Want to create something that looks like a cylinder, okay. So we'll bring a line there, okay. We bring a line. You can even do this even with the Word document, okay. We do something like this, a cylinder, and of course we do it something like this, okay. So it's not fully, it's not fully the way it's supposed to be, but if you can see, this looks like this looks like it looks like a cylinder, or it looks like an open bucket in a way, okay. It looks like an open bucket in a way. So this is a simple design. Now these shapes, it is called a cylinder or a sphere. It's an example of a form. Now, what is the function of a form? It adds depth and substance to shapes, okay. So it helps in creating a more tangible appearance. So it gives you that pleasing appearance, okay. So let's look at color. All right, what is a color? Okay, so remember, we are discussing about the elements of the design, okay. So these elements of design, we talked about form, okay. Then we are looking at color, okay. Color, we looked at it in the previous video. A color, by definition, is the visual perception of different wavelengths of light. So different wavelengths of light are coming together to give us a visual perception, Okay, so there are other people that are color blind, so they don't see color, meaning that the way in which the visual perception or the waves hit their their eyes is different from another one with color. Now, properties of color, we say it has got Y, which is saturation, and volume. Okay, so what is the function of color? Function of color, of course, it brings in, evokes emotions. It also establishes mood, okay, and it adds visual interest. So let's look at this. What we designed already, let's try to give it maybe a few colors here and there. Let's try to give it a few colors. So let's say this, we give it maybe red, right? You've seen what is happening here. So this same color, we bring it like this, we copy, okay, copy, and we put it like that. Okay, we bring it like this, we change color. Okay, so now if you can observe, okay, if you can observe, you actually discover that here already, just by the virtue of adding this, it is beginning to change our perception. This cube that I've drawn, it looks like an object that has got up and down, right? It looks at like an object that has got up and down, okay, based on the color. So color gives us some form of emotion, okay, and mood. It also adds visual interest. It will give you a certain visual component for your product. Okay, so let's look at texture. And of course, texture, here we're talking about texture, we're talking about the quality of an object perceived through touch or vision. So when we touch, how does it look? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Okay, so texture is one important thing that you learn. And of course, with these software that we're going to be using, you're going to learn how to use texture in different ways. Now, what are type of textures? There's what we call visual texture and the actual texture. Okay, visual texture and actual texture. So what is a visual texture? So visual texture, this is illusion of texture. All right, so visual texture, it is an illusion of texture. Here you are looking at a texture that you can't touch, but it gives you a feeling that this must be a rough texture. Why is it giving you that feeling? It is because it looks rough. Okay, then actual texture, this is what now a tactile. All right, so this is something that is tangible, something that you can hold, something that you can feel, okay, from touch. Now, what are some of the functions? The functions of texture, that one, it enhances the sensory experience. It enhances your senses, all right? Two, it brings out your interest, and it also helps to communicate the context. So it gives you that context. It gives you a context at which that particular item you are dealing with, may feel, okay? So that is the texture. Now, when you look at, we have what we call space, okay? So space is basically the area within and around an object, okay? The area within and, the area within and around the object. That is what we call space. So there are type of spaces, and some of them is what we call positive space. So a positive space is occupied by an object, okay? So there is what we call a positive space and a negative space. So a positive space is occupied by an object, whereas a negative space is an empty area, okay? So let's look at, now for example, here, okay? So this item, when you look at this, this product, this product gives us a certain sense, okay? It gives us space. Already here we are having space, and in space you can see that there's the occupied area, the space that is covered by these circles, and the space that is around the the object. So the area around the object is called that is occupied by the space is called the positive space, and the negative space is an empty space, meaning the space around the the product that we've created here, around the product we've created. Okay, so basically that's what space is. Now, what is the function of space? Of course, space, it helps in creating depth. Okay, space is helpful in creating depth. It also defines the relationship between elements. It gives us the relationship between elements, and it guides the viewer's focus. Okay, so here, from here, you can actually see, from this perspective, you can actually see that this product, the visual, imagination that this one gives you is, is that this is a product that is sitting on something like that, looks like a table, okay, but it is sitting somewhere. There's a product that is sitting somewhere. Okay, so it creates that visual illustration, that visual form that you can see. Then we have the last one, which is the value. All right, so value, of course, is a degree of lightness or darkness in an image. So the degree of lightness or darkness in an image. So of course, the function as that one, it adds dimension. Okay, the reason why you need to add value to an image is because it adds dimension, and it defines form, and it creates a contrast. Okay, by now you'll have understood what contrast is, you'll have understood what dimension is, and you'll have understood what contrast is. Okay, now let's look at the principle of a design. Principle number one is that there should be balance. Okay, we already looked at this, some of these. So balance, here we're talking about distribution of visual weight in composition. Okay, so if you create balance, it's because based on what you want to create, there's supposed to be a balance in between the the design that you create. Okay, so types of this balance, there's what we call symmetrical balance, asymmetrical, and radial balance. Okay, so the function is to create stability and harmony between the file you are creating, to create stability and harmony within the files you are creating. Okay, now another principle of design is contrast. So already we discussed what contrast is. We said it is the arrangement of opposition element to create visual interest. Okay, so it emphasizes the differences, all right? It guides the viewers, and it guides the viewers' attention and adds drama to your work. Okay, so we discussed about emphasis. We know what emphasis is. Okay, so, and we discussed unity, and here another issue we're going to add is the movement. Okay, so the movement is the visual flow or path created by the arrangement of elements. Okay, so here we're talking about techniques, directional line, repetition, and progression. Okay, so a movement shows a certain flow, okay, or path created by an arrangement of elements. Okay, so another another principle of design is, of course, what we call a pattern. Okay, so here pattern is a repetition of elements in a recognizable order. So a pattern is a repetition of elements in a recognized order. So you need to have a certain pattern. For example, are you seeing the pattern that is behind this document I'm viewing? Okay, there's something that looks like webs behind the document. Okay, so these documents are there, whatever that has been put behind there, it is there to create a what? To create a, to create security of the document. Okay, so apart from pattern, so pattern is a repetition of elements that creates a recognizable order. The functions are that, one, it adds rim, and it adds consistency and visual interest. Okay, adds rim, consistency, and visual interest. Now, what are some of the properties? Okay, proportion. Okay, proportion, of course, is one of the elements of a design, and the proportion is the relationship of size and scale between different elements. Okay, the relationship of sizes and the scale between different elements. So here we're talking about visual balance, harmony, and sense of what? Realism. Okay, sense of realism, reality. Okay, so proportion is one important factor. Okay, now what is the rim that we talked about? So the rim basically is the repetition of visual elements to create a sense of movement. Okay, so a rim is as good as a flow. Okay, it is a flow. So in every design there is a rim. All right, it creates a visual element, it creates a sense of movement, shows the movement of certain items. So types of rim, of course, we've got what we call regular, alternating, and flowing. Okay, why do we need this rim? One, it adds energy, vitality, and sense of continuity. Okay, so it is very important for an artist and a designer to create visual, compelling, and meaningful composition. Okay, now you have to keep in mind that these concepts are not strict rules but flexible guidelines that can be adapted and combined in various ways to achieve the desired effect in design or artwork. Now, depending on your skill and level, you're actually going to find that as you do your artwork, you're going to be adding all these proportions to your work. Bit by bit, you're going to be adding proportion to your work, and you'll be able to develop a certain type of, you'll be able to develop a certain type of output and a stance depending on how good your work is. Okay? That being said, let's look at the color theory and application. So, of course, color theory is a fundamental concept in art. Okay, art and design basically deals with color. Without colors, there's no art, there's no design. Okay, so colors make, they make a good-looking, a good-looking artwork, and they help in building the relationship between two or more objects. Okay, so without color you can't have art. Okay, so it is very important that you understand color theory. Okay, that you understand color theory, because it's crucial to your graphic design course. Okay, so this will help you in creating visual appealing and harmonious composition. All right, so now here are some of the basics of the color theory. One, we've got what we call primary colors. Okay, primary colors. All right, primary colors. So what are these primary colors? Red, blue, and yellow are considered as primary colors. All right, red, blue, and yellow are considered as the primary colors, and all other colors are derived from combination of these three wires. All right, so here from red, blue, and yellow, you can actually develop all the colors you need. These are what we call primary colors. Let's look at secondary colors. Secondary colors, you have got green, orange, and purple. Okay, these colors are called secondary colors. Okay, green, orange, and purple are considered secondary colors. Okay, so they are created by mixing equal parts of two primary colors. So when you mix equal parts of the two primary colors, you come up with what we call secondary colors. So if you mix red and the blue, you come up with something that looks like purple. All right, in equal quantities. If you mix red and yellow, you come up with the orange. If you mix blue and the yellow, you come up with something that looks like green. Okay, so these are what we call secondary colors. Now, secondary colors are obtained by mixing equal parts of primary colors. What are tertiary colors? So tertiary colors result from mixing a primary color with a neighboring secondary color. So if you mix a primary color with a secondary color, you are going to come up with the tertiary color. Okay, so if you mix primary color and the secondary color, you come up with a tertiary color. Okay, and whereas the secondary color is obtained by mixing two primary colors in equal portions, you come up with a secondary color. But a tertiary color is developed by mixing a primary color and a secondary color. Okay, so in this, there's what we call a color wheel. Okay, a color wheel, because of these different stages of colors, they're what we call a color wheel. So a color wheel is a circular diagram that arranges colors based on their chromatic relationship. Okay, so it helps in visualizing color harmonies and the contrast. Let's see if we can look at the wheel. Okay, I have it here, but it is going to cut on your screen. Okay, but this is an example of a color wheel. I wish I could show it. Okay, I wish I could show it. So this, on my left, on my right, with the software I'm using. So this is something like a color wheel. Okay, you can see the switches. So these are the colors. Okay, so these colors are based on their mixing. Okay, secondary colors, primary colors, and whatnot. Okay, so nevertheless, that's what we call a color wheel. So a color wheel is a circular diagram that arranges colors based on their chromatic relationship. So you'll be able to know a color wheel. You'll be dealing with it a lot as you start designing, okay, your own work. Now, there's also one component called the color harmony. Color harmony. So here we're talking about the analog colors, okay? Color harmony, we've got one thing which is called the analogous colors. So colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Okay, so they create a sense of unity and are often found in nature. Okay, and they are often found in what? In nature. Okay, so we've got the second one which is called complementary colors. Complementary colors. So complementary colors. So colors that are opposite each other or the color wheel. Okay, so these are called complementary colors. Opposite to each other on the color wheel, they are called complementary colors. So analogous colors are colors that are next to each other, whereas complementary colors are colors that are opposite to each other on the wheel. Okay, so it provides high contrast and the vibrancy when used together. Okay, so of course that is one part. Then another aspect is a split complementary colors. So these are a base color and two adjacent to its complementary colors. Okay, so it offers a high contrast like complementary colors but less tension. Okay, then we've got what we call triadic colors. So these triadic colors, basically there are three colors evenly spread or evenly spaced around the color wheel. Okay, they're evenly spaced. So what we looked at there, it's actually a triadic colors. That was not a wheel, but it was a triadic color. Okay, I'll be able to explain what a color wheel is when we when we begin to look at the designing. Okay, so of course triadic colors, they create balanced and visually appealing work. Okay, so triadic colors basically triadic, then there's what we call tetradic colors. Okay, tetradic colors. So here these are called double complementary. So two sets of complementary colors which are put together. Okay, so it offers rich color palettes but requires careful balance for it to come out with more pleasing outlook. Okay, so basically there are quite a lot. There's a lot of work about colors and how you can mix it together and how you can balance it together to give us some practicality of colors. But I'm sure the issue of color is something that you need to explore as we go, because there are so many notes about just colors. Okay, but for now we'll just do basics about colors and we'll be able to do more as we go to other parts. Now, what is a practical application of graphic design? Okay, graphic design, of course, it helps in selecting colors for logos, websites, and promotional materials. Okay, then interior design, of course, is a type of design. It chooses paint colors, furniture, decor to create desired mood. Then we've got fashion design, fine art, digital design. So all these are type of what? The designs that exist that you should be able to deal with. Okay, so basically that's what we are talking about. When we meet next time, we'll be able to talk about topography, and we look at what it deals with. For now, this is all we have. Until we meet next time, goodbye.